Donald Trump has arrived at the United Nations General Assembly today with all the theatricality one expects from him. And he didn't disappoint, of course. He began by mocking a broken teleprompter. Well, we knew there was a problem, and complaining about an escalator, a lifter, moving stairs at the UN building, a cautious and curious way to start an address on global war and peace. Whoever is operating this teleprompter is in big trouble, he says. It was comic relief, but it set the tone for what followed, a mixture of grievance, improvisation, and personal attack, and the speech quickly turned from broken machines to broken institutions. Trump derided the UN as a body that does nothing more than write strongly worded letters. He asked pointedly, what is the purpose of the United Nations? And the hall grew restless, some delegates laughing, others squirming as he dismissed decades of peacekeeping and diplomacy as empty words. There's not so much a presidential vision as a contractor's complaint about terrazzo floors. He even returned to his old grudge that the UN had rejected his bid to renovate its headquarters. On substance, Trump thundered and hammered three big themes. First, migration. He claimed that your countries are going to hell because of open borders, accused the UN of funding an assault on Western countries, and reignited his feud with London's Mayor Sadiq Khan, alleging falsely that Khan wants to impose Sharia law. These remarks drew groans from the chamber, but they played directly to Trump's populist base. I think I would do another video at some point on Sharia law, because this story just keeps going on and on and on. Second, climate change. He called global warming the greatest con job ever perpetuated in the world. Maybe he's been reading Michael Crichton, one of Michael Crichton's last books, which is a dreadful book, by the way. Branding environmental policies a green scam that would cause countries to fail. Delegates rolled their eyes, but Trump insisted, I've been right about everything. Well, here was the denial and the bravado that the international country has learned to expect, if never to respect. And third, the foreign wars. Trump warned that recognising Palestine is a reward for Hamas, directly rebuking the UK, Canada, France and others that have moved towards recognition. He called for the immediate release of hostages, but offered no clear path to peace. On Ukraine, he said the war is not making Russia look good, and claimed that he would never have begun. It would never have begun if he'd been in charge. He threatened Europe with tariffs unless they stopped buying Russian oil, demanding they step up. But the threats lacked detail, and the promise of tariffs as a peace plan sounded more like an economic tantrum than a strategy. This rambling mixture of jokes, insults and boasts left many in the hall disengaged. Some delegates whispered among themselves, others took selfies with the president in the background. The speech overran its slot, meandering into crime in Washington, North Sea oil, wind turbines ruining the countryside. What should have been a carefully framed address before high-stakes meetings with, for example, President Zelensky, instead became a familiar Trump rally, transposed awkwardly onto the international stage. And yet, here's the paradox. The world listens differently now than it did in 2018. Then his boast that he had done more than almost any administration provoked outright laughter. Today, no one dares to laugh too loudly. Allies and adversaries alike know he is back in power and willing to cut funds, impose tariffs and upend agreements. His words may sound chaotic, but the consequences are real. Which brings us to Volodymyr Zelensky. The Ukrainian president sat in black, nodding quietly as Trump spoke. He has no luxury of cynicism. For him, what matters is whether Trump will back his war effort with sanctions strong enough to hurt Moscow, and Trump's rhetoric that Europe must stop funding Russia, that tariffs could end the bloodshed, is hardly a guarantee. Once you've started the tariff process, once you've started the sanction process, it has to continue. To stop it looks like a reward. That's the problem. I don't approve of sanctions, by the way. But I think once they've started, you can't stop. And you can't undo the sanctions until the sanctioned individual, the sanctioned country, turns round and starts to do the right thing. Putin clearly has not done the right thing. In fact, he's doing more of the wrong things. So those sanctions have to continue. Trump's rhetoric that Europe must stop funding Russia, that tariffs could end the bloodshed is hardly a guarantee. Zelensky will want commitments. He will want clarity, he wants solidarity. Instead, he may find only conditional support contingent on others stepping up. So this UN speech was a preview of the meeting to come, a performance heavy on complaint and bravado, light on specifics, maybe deflection from other scandals. Trump joked that all the UN gave him was a broken teleprompter and a broken escalator. But for Ukraine and for the world, the danger is that all he is offering is broken promises.